This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. For connectors, cables, and more, call 920-435-2973 or visit pl-259.com. And by ICOM. Heard it, worked it, logged it. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information about ICOM radios.
It's Ham Radio.
Hey, good evening, everyone. It's time for Ham Talk Live. It's episode number 278. Collegiate Radio Update, recorded live on Thursday, October 28th, 2021. I'm your host, Neil Rapp, WB9VPG. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Ham Talk Live. Tonight, we're joined by Tony Milluzzi, KD8RTT, and Andy Milluzzi, KK4LWR, and we will take your calls live in just a few minutes. Last week here on the show, Don Wilbanks, AE5DW, was here, and we just talked about anything and everything. We talked a little bit about the Ham Nation program, now that it is over on the Ham Radio Crash Course channel, and we just kept on going from there. So if you want to tune in to Dawn, listen to our conversation and some of the Newsline crew calling in, go over to hamtalklive.com or on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube, and you can listen there. Or don't forget, you can also listen to Ham Talk Live on WTWW. That's 5085 on your AM dial, Saturday afternoons at about 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Tonight we're talking about the Collegiate Amateur Radio Initiative, or CARI, and we'll get an update from the brothers Milluzzi here about how things are going with that. If you're listening to us live on Thursday night, you'll be able to give us a call a little later on in the show and ask your questions or offer some encouragement here. The phone number will be 859-982-7373. I'll repeat that here in just a second, so you can write it down, punch it in, have it ready to go, whatever you want to do. But that's the phone number that we'll use a little later on in the show. I'll let you know when it's time for calls, but it's 859 is the area code, and then 982 7373. Again, 859-982-7373. You can also tweet us. It's at Ham Talk Live on Twitter. And I'll be back with Tony and Andy right after this word from ICOM America, right here on Ham Talk Live. Contest remotely or from the comfort of your own home. ICOM has the perfect base station ready for action. The IC9700, IC7610, and IC7300 SDR transceivers are top of the line and are the first choice for contesters across the globe. Robust base stations like these cut through pileups, letting you work the bands and record those contacts. Stay connected remotely with the RSBA One app and keep your competitive contesting edge with ICOM. Heard it, worked it, logged it. IC7851 gives you a new window into the RF world and is HF excellence unparalleled. With faster processors, high input gain, high display resolution, and a cleaner signal, it is truly the pinnacle of HF perfection. It has dual receivers, digital IF filters, a memory key or digital voice recorder, a high-resolution Spectrum waterfall display, enhanced PC connectivity, and an SD card slot. The IC7610 is the SDR every ham wants. This high-performance SDR can pick out the faintest of signals even in the presence of stronger adjacent ones. The IC7610 from ICOM is a direct sampling software-defined radio that will change the world's definition of an SDR transceiver. It has RF direct sampling, 110 dB RMDR, independent dual receivers, and dual Digicel. And the IC9700, you can create your own band opening with it. This transceiver radio brings direct sampling to the UHF VHF weak signal world. This all-mode transceiver is loaded with innovative features that are sure to help keep you busy. Faster processors, higher input gain, higher display resolution, and a cleaner signal. It has a 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and waterfall smooth satellite operation with 99 satellite channels with dual watch operation and full duplex operation in satellite mode. Visit ICOMAmerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios.
If Denny's is open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, why are there locks on the doors? Now, here's Neil Rapp with more Ham Talk Live.
Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. Tonight, Tony Milluzzi, KD8RTT, and Andy Milluzzi, KK4LWR. Join us on the Orlando Amateur Radio Club and Hamcation Hotline. Andy Milluzzi, KK4LWR, is the past president of the Gator Amateur Radio Club at the University of Florida in Gainesville, and he is currently a systems engineer at Walt Disney Parks and Resorts in Florida. He is a key leader in the ARRL Collegiate Amateur Radio Initiative, a group that's been formed to share ideas and promote and rejuvenate amateur radio clubs in colleges and universities in North America. Andy came into ham radio thanks to his brother, Tony, KD8RTT. Tony is an electrical engineer with Garmin, and he attended grad school at Ohio University, where he was the Amateur Radio Club president. And during undergrad, he was just down the road from where I used to be, over in Terre Haute, Indiana, at the Rose Tech Amateur Radio Club, W9NAA. He is a pilot and also a key leader in the Collegiate Amateur Radio Initiative. You can find him on satellites or operating CW or portable on HF. So welcome back, guys.
Thanks, Neil.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a couple of weeks, I suppose, since we last.
Yes,
chatted.
it has. It has. I actually looked for the script because I usually copy the bios over, when we've done it before, and it's been a little over a year since we've had you on the show, but we got to have a great time this summer together. So
yeah,
we actually saw each other not that long ago.
And then when Jocelyn was on, I called in.
Yeah, exactly. So Andy and Tony were camp counselors or camp staff, whatever you want to call it, at Yoda Camp this summer, and they were a big help. They did our antenna building session as well as a lot of other things. Tony was our registration guy. He checked everybody in and cleared their COVID status and all that fun stuff. So you guys did a fabulous job. Got to meet Christy and got to meet Daisy as well.
Yes, Daisy loved the attention, that's for sure.
Sorry, we couldn't find a hotel room that would allow the dog, but you were able to find one on your own, so it all worked
we
out.
made do. Yep. And she had fun. That was the most important thing. Is Daisy was loving it. So
yes, absolutely.
But
we're here to
CARI.
talk about CARI. Yeah, we're here to talk about CARI, the Collegiate Amateur Radio Initiative, and this has been going on for a while now. You're hanging in there, and I notice every once in a while in my email I get these notices of, be sure to join the CARI Zoom meeting tonight. We're going to give away this or we're going to do that. So are you giving away like free pizza or what are you doing?
So there has been pizza given away. That is a true statement. There's also been various items from the league. So over the last year, The monthly calls, they're hosted on the second Tuesday of each month, and you can register for them on arrl.org/we-want-you, and you is the letter U. You can go there and register for them. Any college student is eligible to win. We did a pizza party for a college club. That was fun. We've given away handbooks. We've given away licensing materials. We've given away field day T-shirts, that sort of thing. The league has really been a great sponsor, and that's resulted in a lot of folks attending the calls and some really great discussion. So it's been quite the year watching it grow, and we've actually evolved quite a bit from where we started. Tony and I have been listening a lot to what everyone is saying. So this year, for example, just a few months ago, we got a Discord up there, and that has been quite the busy platform with School Club Roundup and the Collegiate QSO Party, which has been fantastic.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff up there. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, no problem. I was just going to say, so like Andy said, this last year has kind of been a revitalization of the call in a lot of ways, but we've been doing this for several years now. So it's been a consistent meeting place for college clubs and other interested hams to kind of join in and help keep the hobby going in colleges and universities.
One of the challenges of the university clubs, as well as the high school clubs that I used to do and below, is the turnover. You have students for a limited number of years. Sometimes 2, sometimes 4, or elementary, I guess, is a little bit better, actually, at, I think, 6 or 7. But you constantly have this turnover. And I think that having this resource there on a consistent basis has kind of, helped so that there is some consistency there. Because membership just kind of goes up and down with your enrollment.
Yeah, and that's something we've really seen. I think in terms of the initiative itself, beyond just the monthly call, I think we're maybe like 4 or 5 years into it, and we've seen some clubs that were really active in the beginning when we started this, kind of faded away and then have come back. So yeah, it's a constant thing. Things are always changing. New clubs pop up, become very active, then they fade away for sometimes a year or two, or sometimes much longer. So our hope has been, in addition to these calls, just kind of be the central resource that someone can come back to help get their club going again, get ideas, and just so they know where to turn, really.
Tell everybody again what resources are there for clubs. We mentioned already, trying to rejuvenate the club, because it does kind of go up and down. There are a few clubs out there that actually can maintain a year-to-year, basis for, 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So what resources do you have, and what ideas do you have, to help that continue?
So a big part of that is making sure that there is some consistency year over year, and that doesn't necessarily have to be student consistency, although that's probably the best way to go. So we've actually had a lot of discussions, and some clubs are actually, jumping on board. This is starting up alumni sister clubs that sort of preserve the shack, keep the resources going, keep the call sign active when there's sort of lower student activity. It's also a good way to, get funding and continue to support the club year round. So, letting the alumni donate directly to the club or sort of treat things out, and it keeps them engaged, which is good for the university. So that has been something that we have seen come over and over and over. And that was an idea that was originally discussed in great detail, actually by a good friend of mine, Dr. Jay Garlitz, AA4FL, with the University of Florida, as we set one up for that. And I'm on the board for the University of Florida Club, or the University of Florida Alumni Club, I should say. And he was gracious enough, probably 4 or 5 years ago now, to share that with everyone else. So there's been a few other clubs following in that footstep. The other thing, of course, is a dedicated, faculty advisor. And we have been very, very lucky to meet many of those hams across the nation, be it, Larry at OSU or Dave Kazdan over at Case, just to name a few. There have been some very, very active faculty that have integrated amateur radio into their curriculum. Like Case did a whole thing with their civil engineering department laying out their field day site, which was a very, very cool way to bring in folks that maybe wouldn't otherwise get exposed to amateur radio. So those sorts of things really help keep the clubs active and bridge that activity as it comes in waves.
Yeah, and as the initiative, we try to be a place where people can turn for those ideas. So, like Andy said, we've talked about that in the past, kind of tried to expand that. But we have a Facebook group where you can talk about it, share ideas, discuss. Anyone's welcome to join that. Andy said we have a Discord also. That's kind of the more day-to-day tactical discussions. But we've also started kind of a repository of some of this information. So in addition to like recordings of previous calls, we've tried to collect some things that could be beneficial for new clubs, like sample club bylaws and constitutions, a listing of club information that is fairly up to date, that sort of thing. So when people go out looking, we hope they find us and they can start digging through our resources, get those ideas, like Andy pointed out, and implement them with their club.
Yeah, I know. I published my bylaws and or articles of incorporation or whatever all that legal stuff was that you had to have to become an ARRL affiliated club. For the school, I took it, but I had to modify the one that the league gives you just for any club. Because, it was more of a dictatorship than a democracy with the teachers in charge. So I had to, chop it up and take this out and put this in. And, so I put it up on the ARIS, website, which they're doing the same thing. They're building a repository of all this information for, people who want to get into ARIS. So it's great to hear that that's, being done for the college clubs as well. So in all of this, there's always great ideas running around. Making the contact and collecting all of this is a big help. And I changed locations and changed jobs over the summer. And come to find out there is an alumni, amateur radio club, at Xavier University where I'm, teaching chemistry now, on a part-time basis. And, so I haven't pushed the ham radio angle just yet, but every time I look out my office window, I see this tower on top of a building with a ham rotor and this big 40-meter Yagi and all this stuff and it's been sitting there for 25 years and hasn't been touched. And it just kind of, it makes me want to jump in and revive everything. And if that turns into a permanent thing, I'm sure it will. But, the story goes at Xavier that somebody stole the equipment and that was it. Somebody broke into the building, stole the equipment, and that just kind of ended it. And it's been out since like 79 or something. So, there are some ways to get some equipment too, from the league. You might, talk a little bit about that, or maybe I need to talk about it. I don't know. Maybe you guys have some knowledge of that program.
Yeah, so there is an education grant. There's actually a number of different grants out there. Some of them are, by individual clubs, and some of them are, at larger organizations like the league, to support, specifically the education side of things. And, it's obviously promoted a lot, in the sort of, elementary, and high school sort of, grades, but many of them still include, collegiate clubs, in terms of allowing them to apply for resources to set up a station. So yeah, that's definitely out there. I don't have it all in front of me right now, but yes, those are great opportunities. As well as, we've been encouraging clubs to also seek, student government funding. And that sort of is a double-sided benefit, right? In addition to getting money to, invest in the club, you also get the exposure of bringing it up to student government and all of those other students learning about the club and what it brings to campus. So, there's a few different options available, both within our community and at the broader level.
So when we talk about these, incentives to be on the call and everything, let's talk about some incentives that the colleges might have. And would pizza fall under that as well then? Oh, nobody's.
Are you saying in terms of like the school reaching out to the club?
Yes, yes. The school,
Yes.
the school's club reaching out to prospective members.
Oh, yep. Yeah. So I think a big way, that's probably one of the things we talk about the most in our calls with these clubs is, how you get new members and coming up with creative ideas like that. So yeah, that's one of the good tools of like the pizza party that was donated from the ARRL earlier. But just kind of coming up with creative ways to get people involved is a big part of discussion for us.
Well, you guys have come up with a lot of great ideas, and it's great to hear the success stories and how this has been a constant thing. Because again, the turnover from year to year is just it's just something we all have to deal with, and it's not always easy. All right, well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk some more. We'll take your calls. We'll take your tweets at AmTalk Live, and phone calls at 859-982-7373. I'll be back with Tony and Andy right after this word from Tower Electronics right here on Ham Talk Live.
Hey, honey, have you seen the PL259s anywhere?
No, I haven't. Come on, kids. Let's go.
There's just one place to go for all of your connector needs.
Tower Electronics.
Tower Electronics.
Tower Electronics.
A giant warehouse of connectors and adapters for every occasion. Thousands to choose from in every shape, size, and color. And they have antennas, soldering supplies, cables, meters, and more. Where do you go if you want to buy a connector at a fraction of retail cost?
Tower Electronics.
Tower Electronics.
Tower Electronics.
And this weekend only, take advantage of our special liquidation sale. Buy 9 solder-type PL259s, get the 10th one for just $1 penny. They make great Christmas presents. And what better way to say I love you than with the gift of a PL259?
Tower Electronics.
Tower Electronics.
Tower Electronics.
I'm Scott, KB9AMM of Tower Electronics. I like the PL259 connector so much, I bought the company.
Tower Electronics, coming to a Hamfest near you, or online at pl-259.com. And we're in the yellow pages under Amateur Radio Connectors.
My, wherever did you get that lovely PL259?
Tower Electronics, pl-259.com, or call 920-435-2973.
Do we sell PL259 connectors?
Join the conversation. Give us a call at 859-982-7373. Again, the number to call is 859-982-7373. Or, if you'd rather type than talk, tweet us at Ham Talk Live. Now, here's Neil Rapp with more Ham Talk Live.
Copy 594 from Ham Talk Live.
Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. Tower Electronics will be at Chickasaw, Alabama. That's Stone Mountain, Georgia, more or less, November 6th and 7th. Fort Wayne, Indiana, November 13th and 14th. Montgomery, Alabama, November 19th and 20th. Then off to Ocala, Florida, December 4th, and Plant City, Florida, December 10th and 11th. But you can visit them whenever you want at pl-259.com. Ham Talk Live is on the air every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at hamtalklive.com. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And before we get back to Tony and Andy, it's time once again for the Joke of the Week.
Now it's time for the Ham Talk Live Ham Radio Joke of the Week, the part of the show where Rick tells us a ham radio joke. The Ham Talk Live Ham Radio Joke of the Week is brought to you by QRM Labs. Now, here's Rick Garrett in 9 GSU with today's Ham Talk Live Joke of the Week.
When I was studying for my ticket, the hardest part for me was all that math. I guess you could say it gave me a lot of problems.
This has been the Ham Talk Live Ham Radio Joke of the Week with Rick Garrett in 9 GSU. Tune in again next week for another joke from Rick.
I had to put the math joke in there, since we're talking college tonight. So,
I mean, that's what engineers are, right? We're just really good at math.
Just really good at math, exactly. Well, thanks, Rick, for the joke here, and we'll catch another one next week from him. And it's time for your phone calls right now. So if you have a question or a comment, give us a call right now. It's time to call 859-982-7373, or you can tweet us at Ham Talk Live. And if you're listening to us on WTWW or on the podcast edition, you won't be able to reach us. We're doing this live on Thursday night. One thing that's coming up this weekend is CQ Worldwide, and we've been talking a lot about these new youth categories in CQ Worldwide. What are some of the colleges planning on doing for CQ Worldwide?
Well, it looks like there's a mix of plans. I was actually just looking through Discord, and that was actually one of the questions that came up, was asking who else is going to be on the air for CQ Worldwide. I think sort of the mainstays of collegiate contesting has been School Club Roundup, both in October and February. And then the North American QSO Party has crept in there. And I think the Collegiate QSO Party has become a big part of that. And, seeing CQ Worldwide get added is just adding another event to that already busy calendar, which I think is great. Keeps clubs active. I know when I was at UF, like the number one issue I had was, okay, why should people come to the station? What's going on? And whenever there's a contest or something that you're participating in, that really does wonders for driving club activity. So seeing more of these contests, gearing it towards these youth in these categories, I think is just a way to further expand the hobby. And I'm 100% on board with that. I think that's great from a CARI perspective and great from a Yoda perspective.
Yeah, and I think one of the best parts about CARI is, since we have that central place, the central meeting hubs, both the Facebook group and Discord, now you've got people talking about the contests before they happen, kind of planning, letting each other know, kind of build up some of that competitiveness between the schools. So, even a more general sense for contests, now you have a place to go to talk to people who you might know and get advice, or just kind of get ready for the event.
It was kind of cool watching on Twitter the Ohio State University Amateur Radio Club plan for School Club Roundup, because they sent out some tweets. What do you think our score is going to be? What do you think? we'll do for the number of hours that we're on the air, this and that. And it just kind of got everybody excited and aware that this event was coming up. And yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, School Club Roundup for us was always the highlight of the year because it drew attention to what we were doing. It kind of focuses everything in and it was fabulous. And so, CQ Worldwide, with the new youth category is just that much more, incentive to get involved in a lot of these. And I know you guys have been trying to get at least once a month for there to be some kind of, activity on the air for, these school clubs.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tony. Okay. Yeah. No, I was just gonna say that's trying to get the clubs to be active and really get on the air. I think a lot of clubs kind of have this, they meet every so often as a group, but they don't end up actually getting on the radio all the time. So even in these monthly calls, you'll hear people discussing like, oh, hey, you want to be on the radio at some point in the future, or they move it to Discord and say, hey, let's make a contact after the call or later in the week or whatever. That's been really great. And I think the other thing that Andy kind of mentioned are the Collegiate QSO Party, which is something that Andy and I have kind of put together over the past few years as a yearly event. It has been made to serve specifically college and university clubs. Again, everyone's welcome to join those categories. If you're not involved with school club at all, you're welcome to join. But we want to make sure that, they're recognized, there being an opportunity where others can come talk to the college clubs. And I think going back to the Ohio State University Club's tweets was another great thing that, part of the Collegiate QSO Party is we had some bonuses for social media use. So I think recognizing that kind of the tools of today that can promote these clubs are something we should really push for and encourage people to use just to generate awareness.
Yeah, I think anything that you can do, is always helpful. And I know a lot of the high schools have these little video programs that they put together to show the whole school or the school newspaper, which is now more of an electronic thing, but they still have, the journalistic feel. But, they talk about what they do and just raises some awareness and raises some interest. So that's always very helpful. All right. Troy Simpson, W9KVR, speaking of a school club roundup guy, over in, Watseka, Illinois, says finally made it here. Just finished some conferences. So yeah, Troy, I do not miss parent conferences. I'm still in shock. I mean, we're almost a semester in. I'm still in shock. The differences between teaching at the university and teaching in high school. It's just incredibly different. And I must say much easier. So yeah, thanks for tuning in and chiming in here tonight. But, what's the next thing coming up here? You mentioned you've got the Collegiate QSO Party, and we've got some of these youth categories in here. What's next?
So, the next thing is probably just going to be continuing to evolve. This year we sort of had a really good, heart-to-heart and sit-down about the Collegiate QSO Party and, what purpose it serves for the clubs and where they'd like to see it go. And we're expecting some pretty big changes going into next year, all coming from the feedback of, folks that participated and folks that, were active in the QSO Party this year. We're going to make it more of, one of the bits of feedback we got was folks not realizing that, more than college clubs can participate. So we're going to switch things up a little bit and maybe make it less of like a traditional contest and more of a true QSO Party where there's awards for working different college clubs and, some certificates and stuff to sort of make a broader appeal and sort of grow the event. There still probably will be some awards with it, but some proper awards and all that. But I think being able to expand that participation, really bring that into focus, does really well. One thing I think that's maybe difficult for, hams to sort of understand is, and some people have never been on the side of it, is receiving a pileup and getting to work, a million stations trying to call you at once. It's a lot of fun and invigorating. And when you give that to a college club, you build a lot of very active hams, and School Club Roundup has done that fantastically well for school clubs, over that course of that week. And we want to see if we can make it just as good for, specifically collegiate clubs there in September, probably still about the same time, but give them that same experience to get folks more aggressively hunting for them to get their calls in their book. And like I said, it's a great way to motivate people to stick with the hobby and gain more experience. So we're looking at rule changes to help encourage that, as well as continue to grow and expand our clubs and their social media and their membership on campus.
Yeah, I think the other kind of more near-term thing we're looking at, or I guess from a CARI perspective, is we're planning for, as HamFest kind of return to normal, probably having a forum at Hamcation and Hamvention, like we've done in years past, that are collegiate amateur radio focused. Of course, again, everyone's invited, but you'll probably see us there, continuing on, and the monthly calls will continue every month, and all are welcome to join. You can access the registration from the AWRL.org/we-want-the-letter-U website.
All right, and we've got December Yoda month coming up. It's time to start getting ready for that, and so we'll have a lot of young people on the air for that as well. Troy, W9KVR again here says, hi, Andy and Tony, and what about partnerships between colleges and some of the K-12 schools? So you guys want to tackle that one?
Yeah. First of all, howdy, long time no see. I think longtime listeners have probably heard you and I mention this a couple of times, but the three of us there authored a QST article, 5-7 years ago now, something like that. And that's, I think, was our first introduction and working together. So always cool to hear Mr. Simpson there calling in. But I think growing that partnership is really essential. And it's a difficult one to form because of the transitiveness of so many students on both ends. So, one of the ways that, we can start to see that develop is if we get, the educators in the K-12 space, in the same room or virtual room. Thank you to Zoom and Microsoft Teams and all that to make those happen, to start building those relationships and looking at collegiate clubs as an opportunity, to really give a destination for, primary school clubs and secondary school clubs to sort of target. So I think there's a lot of potential there, and it's probably one of the next great challenges of doing that. In an ideal world, everyone would get their ham ticket at age, 4, and be extra by age 4.5 and, be lifelong excited hams, right? And they pick their college based on who has the best, CQ worldwide contest score for their collegiate club. But I think we're a ways off from maybe that dream. But I think if we can start getting those folks in the room, and, I think a great place to start that is with the Hamvention, calls, or, hopefully this year in person, and the Hamcation in-person forums to start building those connections. And I think it'll just take some time, just like everything else. But once we can figure out the right forum of how to continually do that throughout the year and build those connections, I think that is a great opportunity for both, schools and colleges around our country.
And I think one other piece are the local clubs too that I think are important. If you have that key partnership between the younger kids, college kids, and general ham radio club in the area, even better. We've seen some really great synergy in that way from different clubs throughout the years. So if you're part of a ham radio club and there's a school nearby, be it elementary school or high school or college, reach out to them, see if there's a club, see if there's any interested kids, and you might be able to make a good connection there.
And check into each other's nets. Like, that's another great way to meet those folks. And I know, for example, many local clubs recognize that college students are transient, and they usually open up their meetings to them. When I was up in Gainesville, for example, the Gainesville Amateur Radio Society, K4GNV, they were very gracious about letting students from UF and Santa Fe attend their meetings, and sort of be an open forum and to participate. And they weren't worried about, getting dues or anything out of them. It was just, we know you're a student, we know you're a ham, come be part of the community, do field day with us, that sort of thing. And there were several of us that did, and that was really rewarding, and it made some lifelong friends, and they've been having their meetings, on Zoom lately as well, just like everyone else. And, because I made friends there, I still call in, maybe not nearly as frequently as when I was there in person, but it does serve, both a short-term and long-term benefit for the organizations. And let's face it, this is a social hobby. So, those connections are always fun and helpful as you grow and learn more.
Yeah, and Troy says recruiting just like sports. Yeah, we've got the whole esports thing now where, there's scholarships for video games, and trying to recruit video gamers to colleges. So why not radio?
There have been scholarships for amateur radio a lot longer than there have been scholarships for video games.
Very true.
There have been clubs, including, local clubs as well as national organizations, like the FAR scholarships or the ARL scholarships that have been out there long before esports. So, I think that's another way to look at it too, is get them to pay for your college and stay in the hobby.
And speaking of, the ARRL scholarship window opens on November 1st, so just a couple of days away. So if you qualify for that, fill out the application and get registered for that, and maybe you can get some assistance. So we have that coming up too. So. All right. Well, guys, we're about out of time here, but any closing comments here before we take off?
I just want to say, anyone who's interested more about Collegiate Amateur Radio, feel free to reach out to Andy or me, or join us at Facebook group, Discord, or our monthly calls. So, we're always looking for feedback and ways we can better serve the collegiate community with amateur radio. So let us know.
And if you want to help make it happen as well, if you want to step into that leadership role, we would welcome folks helping with the QSO party. If they want to make a financial gift, the ARL does have a fund specifically for CARI that was started by Dr. Schneider, and that has, done fantastically well at, making some of this stuff happen. So there's lots of opportunities to get involved, to give, and to continue to grow what is probably one of the fastest growing and most dynamic and exciting demographics of our hobby.
Very good. Well, we have a call that just came in on the line, so we're going to sneak this one in here. Good evening, Jocelyn. Welcome to Ham Talk Live.
Hey, good evening, Neil. Good evening, Tony, and was it Andy? Because I think you foobarred his name on the intro.
Yes, I did.
Hey, good evening, Jocelyn.
I was listening.
Hey, Jocelyn.
Well, good evening. I was going to say I just wanted to say keep up the good work. I know sometimes it's hard because you sometimes you get a lot of traction, sometimes you don't, but you're heading in the right direction. I think the college QSO party is fantastic. I will try to take part of it, even though I'm not in college, but always try to make contacts with everybody that's on the air, just like School Club Roundup, and try to just grow the activity.
Awesome. We appreciate that. That's cool, and of course, if you're doing it from VOA as well, that's a cool call sign to get in the logbook. I know a lot of folks look forward to that.
Yeah, contesting season's about to start here. As Neil said, we've got the Worldwide coming up this weekend. We'll see how we're going to do. We've got a few members that are talking about doing it. So I don't think we've got a serious team, but we're certainly going to partake and do our fair share. But I just wanted to say hi and hope everybody was fine. And like I said, keep up the great work. We're looking forward to all meeting in person. I know we were lucky enough to see each other over the summer, but we'd like to see a Hamfest as well.
I agree totally. And, I think there's a lot of opportunity. I'm not sure how many of the folks listening know this, but there is some overlap between CARI and YOTA. So I think that there's lots of opportunity there for, students at universities to participate in YOTA Camp, to present at YOTA Camp and that sort of thing, as well as, some of the younger folks on the YOTA spectrum looking forward to getting involved with the CARI activities as well. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there.
That's a very good point. Yep, absolutely.
That's the plan. Well, thanks, Jocelyn, for calling in. Jocelyn Bro, KD8VRX, on the Orlando Amateur Radio Club hotline tonight. Thanks for calling, and we'll see you soon.
Yep, 73, guys. Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too. Good to hear you.
Thanks.
All right.
I forgot to ask him a question. I forgot to ask him what he was pointing at right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I meant to start off the show asking you about that Florida-Kentucky football score this year, but
that game didn't happen.
That game didn't happen. Well, we always have to take sides and support our colleges and so that's kind of a running gag with us. But yeah, Kentucky finally got the better end of that deal this year. So
you guys had a win a few years ago too, right?
Yeah, a few years ago you let us win one.
Yeah, so
once in a while.
Yeah,
got to keep it interesting, right?
Yeah, otherwise no one would show up to the game. But that. All right. We'll see how the Gators do this weekend. It's maybe a rebuilding year for them. We'll see.
Well, there you go. Yeah, that's the thing with sports. There's always next year. So.
Yep. I mean, Tony and I are from Cleveland. We're used to that phrase.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for being on the show tonight and telling us about what's happening with CARI recently, and we'll do it again at some point.
Thanks, Neil. Great time. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And actually, a little carryover to next week. We'll talk about that here in just a second. But that is a wrap for this week's edition of Ham Talk Live. Thanks to Tony Milluzzi, KD8RTT, Andy Milluzzi, KK4LWR, and everybody out there in cyberspace for listening, calling in, typing in, and invite you back next week, Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Our collegiate theme will continue as Christina Collins, KD8OXT, who is a graduate student at Case Western Reserve, W8EDU, and Dr. Nathaniel Fursell, W2NAF, from the University of Scranton, will be here to talk about the Antarctic Eclipse Festival of Frequency Measurement that will be happening in December. So be sure to tune in and hear what's going on with that. And for a list of all of our upcoming guests, visit hamtalklive.com. So for now, this is Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, saying 7375, and may the good DX be yours.
Well, you came right back to my CQ call. The readability 5 and strength